This is another tutorial on Excel. In this tutorial, we're going to discuss these other tabs like Insert, Page Layout, etc. to give you more of an understanding of what you can use Excel for. If you come up here and left click on Insert, you can see there are several different options up here. The only thing that I might use is Insert Picture and occasionally Insert Shapes. So if you want to insert something into an Excel document, you'll come into this area here, click on Picture, and find the picture that you want and double click on it, and that'll insert the picture into the document. This is a floating item. Once this picture is in place, you can come up here and drag it and resize it either way, or you can come up to Picture Tools and Format, and this tab will open up once there's actually a picture that's open in your Excel file. If you click off of it, you'll see that Picture tab closes, but if you click on it again, it'll open that back up. And there's many different options that you have here. The only ones that I'll usually use is Crop, which if you click on the Crop button, it'll create an option for you to actually come in and crop. You come and click on these areas and drag to create a cropped image. In order to stop, you just click off of the image. A few other options that you have here are Picture Border, which will then create a border. And you have, again, similar options as what you have when you're doing a border in a cell. Where you can come down and change the weight, which is the size, the different kinds of lines, etc. You can play with that. You can also rotate the image by coming up and clicking on the Rotate button. And this shows you the different ways that you can actually rotate it. And again, you can come and play with that. If you want to come up and click on Alignment, you can snap to grid, which is essentially, instead of making it this free-floating image, if you click on Align and snap to grid, it'll actually snap into where those lines are in the cell. And essentially that's all I use in picture formatting. And I will delete that by clicking the Delete button on the keyboard. And there's really nothing else that I use on the Insert tab. Coming over here to Page Layout, there are a few things that I use here. One of them is Margins. This is where you can set how much margin there is on the edge of the page while you're printing a document. If you want a really narrow document and utilizing most of the page, you can click on Narrow. The normal is here, the wide is here, and if you click on Customs, you can actually remove the margins altogether by clicking this down button until it takes you to 0. When you're done, you can click OK. Orientation is another tool that I use in this particular tab. This is also talking about how it will print on a page, either portrait or landscape. Essentially, that's all I'll use in the Page Layout tab. Come over here to Formulas. I do not ever use this tab at all. There's uses for it, obviously, but it's not anything that I use. Looking at Data, again, this is another tab that I don't use. Most of the information that I use is on the home page or on right click. Looking at Review, I will occasionally use some of these tools. Spelling, I keep up here. Adding comments is definitely something that I use often, especially when we're doing budgets. If you come over here, you can see that Tim or I have added comments on this previous budget. Coming back here, the way to insert a comment is by clicking on the cell that you want to comment on. Click on New Comment, and it'll pop up this little pop-up screen so that you can type in anything that you need to. And then you can resize it to the size that you want. When you click off of it, if you don't have your comments visible, then it will have this little red arrow indicating that there is a comment there. If you want to see comments, you can show all comments, and it'll pop out the comments that you have in the document. With comments, you can also format them just the same as you would with any other font inside of Excel. You come into the comment area, select it by right-clicking and dragging, right-click, and come down to Format Comment. And here you can see you have all the same options as you do with any other font. I'll change it to Algerian. We'll make it bigger, make it bold, and even do the strike through so you can see what happens. Click OK, and you can see that it's actually larger than it needs to be. You come out here and you can drag it and make the comment larger. Similarly, if you right click, you have all these other options of cut and copy. I'm going to do Control Z to take it back to what the original comment looked like. If you prefer not to have all the comments open, you can come back up here and unclick Show All Comments. When you do this, and you do want to see individual comments, you can come here and hover, and you can see the comments again with that red arrow. If you want to actually have the comments pop out, you can click Previous or Next, and it'll go through these comments and actually go through the entire document. I'll come back down here to MSG&A. Essentially, that's all I'll use in the Review tab. Looking over here to the View tab, there are very few things that I use here. One thing you may have noticed throughout this whole tutorial is that there are these black lines. These black lines essentially show that I'm keeping this top row and this left column in place while I am reviewing the entire document. And you can see those stay there as I scroll through. And if I scroll up and down, you can see that top row stays. This is due to the Freeze Pane tool. If you click on it, there's a few options that you have here on Freeze Panes, Freeze Top Row, and Freeze First Column. The easiest way to use this tool is to click on the cell where you want to freeze above and to the left of it. Now it's frozen already, so I'll unfreeze these panes, and you can see those black lines disappear. If I wanted to just freeze this top row, one way to do it is by clicking here and click on Freeze Panes. And you can now see as I'm scrolling that just that top row is frozen. The left column is not frozen. I'll come back up and unfreeze panes. If I actually wanted to keep several columns and several rows in play, I click again. It will freeze above and to the left of wherever you click. And you click on Freeze Panes, you can see those lines are in place. As you scroll through, you can see that they are frozen in place. This is an extremely useful tool when you're working on large documents. The other option, of course, is that you can freeze the top row just by a click here, and it'll freeze that, or it'll freeze the first column with a click there. But I will almost always click on the cell that I want to freeze above and to the left of. This last tab, Acrobat, I do not use. And that's essentially all that I use from these top tabs in Excel.